and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we do have a bit of a free day before we start looking at the very next game. What I thought I would do is answer some of your questions there over on my community section. Thank you so much for all of you that did get involved, and coming up today, we're going to be talking about the likes of Dani Olmo, Raphinha, Gerard Martin, and also the very big games, the decisive games to come against Real Madrid and Bayern Munich soon, with Hansi Flick's high line discussed in some detail, guys. So it's all on the way. Thank you indeed for tuning in, and let's do this. But let's start, first of all, guys, with a fantastic super thanks coming in here from Justin, who says that Barca's performances are shocking, even with many injuries. The world is not ready for these players to return, and also for us to return to the Camp Nou. This is truly more than a club. It's a family. Great words there from Justin. And also, guys, I want to wish a very happy birthday. Yesterday I wasn't here on the channel, so sorry about that, but this super thanks right here, father and son tuning into the videos, supporting Barca and loving what they are seeing. Thank you very much indeed for that great support. And if we do indeed get started on your questions, then one here from channel member Louise. What do you think will happen if Araujo and Christensen return? Because Kubasi and Inigo Martinez have been doing an amazing job together, and this is a real theme, guys, in your questions here. Lots of people thinking, well, with as well as Inigo Martinez is playing and Kubasi, what happens when the likes of Araujo and Christensen come back? And it goes even further there as well, talking about Marc Casado too. Where is his place in the team after Frenkie de Jong's return? And I think it's a really interesting debate here to have, because honestly, my view is the players that we've seen week in, week out this season, who Hansi Flick has really put trust in, they have delivered for him. And we cannot forget that, guys. No matter who comes back in here, who's fit and available at any point of the season, what we cannot take away is those players who performed. And they really have. You think about Inigo Martinez there. He has been outstanding at centre-back. There's no other word for it. He has really been dependable, consistent, and I think there he deserves to be playing in this team right now. And looking there at somebody like Marc Casado, I said it before, he is becoming one of the first names on the team sheet. It doesn't matter who comes back, it doesn't matter who's pushing him right now, he is performing. And the players who are performing, they're going to take some shifting. But that is actually the perfect thing to happen, because that is why we want these injured players to come back, because think of all their quality, think of all the ability there that's waiting to come back in, and they're going to have to fight. And that's the beautiful thing here, because they're talented players, they're brilliant players, but we also want to see them work and really push themselves to honestly get back in this team. And that's the way that it should be, because over the years at Barca, we've always had good players, we've always had quality in our squad, but there have been times where players didn't need to be at their best, where they weren't being pushed, where there wasn't enough competition, and there also wasn't enough strength in the leadership. And I personally fully trust in Hansi Flick here to say, look, if you want to get back in, you earn it. You work for that place. He's already said nobody is an undisputed starter. Nobody gets in this team based on their name alone. You've got to get there on merit. And I think we're going to see, once these injured players come back, unbelievable competition for places. And that is amazing. Which brings us on then, guys, speaking about Casado, to a question that genuinely brought a massive smile to my face. Even thinking about this made me so happy. Your thoughts on a potential Casado and Gavi double pivot? They'll cover grass like anything, and both are good on the ball. Can you imagine that? Those two players there, all of that heart, all of that intensity, all of that effort in midfield. The opposition have got no chance. Every single time they have the ball, they'll have two players sprinting at them. They won't have anywhere to go. I'd love to see that. Honestly, I cannot wait to see those two combining on the field. It will be an absolutely ruthless combination in midfield, and again, it will only add to the depth that we are about to get at this club. However, guys, speaking about depth and quality depth and competition, well, there is one real area of our team here where we're still struggling, and that is at left back, because lots of questions coming in here about Gerard Martin. Surely he is not better than Hector Fort. I don't really understand what we see in him, why we keep playing him, and I've wanted to talk about this actually for several games now, because I've got to be perfectly honest with all of you guys here. Gerard Martin has not convinced me at any point this season. He really doesn't there. Obviously, we know we don't have a huge amount of depth in our defence. We have to take what we can get. We've got to rotate when we can and all of that kind of stuff. But when you're hearing rumours right now about a renewal for Gerard Martin, about a 4 or 5 year deal for him, I'm just thinking right now, what are the clubs seeing in him? Honestly, what is Hansi Flick seeing in him right now? I think probably he likes his physical profile maybe. He's 6'1" tall there, obviously. He's probably got a great attitude in training. He works hard. You know, nothing against Gerard Martin here. I'm not hitting out at him on a personal level, but I'm just not quite sure what we're seeing. Because on the face of it here, he's not that young. You know, he's 22 years old right now. He actually turns 23 in February, so he's not a teenager, you know, just coming out of the academy. And also, he's not even somebody who spent a great deal of time at the club. He's not spent a great deal of time there coming through the system at Barca. He only joined Barca Athletic in 2023. So I think right now, what we've seen from Gerard Martin, there leaves a lot of questions. He made individual mistakes. He looks a bit shaky and nervous when he's out there. In his positioning, I think there's a lot to work on. And I just look at Hector Fort, and I think surely he has to be the better option. And there's no question about that in my mind there, because I think even at left back, we know that he's a right back, we know that he prefers it on the other side, but at left back, he can still play very well. I remember him playing an absolutely wonderful game away at Atletico Madrid, at the Metropolitano there, where he was outstanding on the left in a game like that. Surely there, Hector Fort has to get more opportunities, and certainly as a left back too, he can prove his worth to the team. Now, what we're hearing today in the media actually is that Flick has been demanding more of Hector Fort, that he's been asking for more from him in the training sessions, but that he is starting to convince him now. Slowly but surely, I think we're going to see Hector Fort getting more minutes. We saw him come on against young boys and play well. I think he is winning the trust of Hansi Flick. And as the season goes on, I think he is going to emerge as the more effective option on the left side. And I do think in general, guys, it's a curious call that we made to actually send Alex Valle out on loan this season. I thought he had a good campaign last season at Levante, looking really positive. I thought he also looked decent in pre-season. And then to send him out on loan, to choose him to be the one to leave. Obviously, he's a bit younger there, but still, he's been really good so far at Celtic this season. He's really impressed there, and there are some curious calls happening at left back here. Now then, I thought this one right here, guys, is a really interesting question, I've got to say. Should Barca take command and not send some of its players for international duty? Considering the hectic schedule, maybe the national team coaches should rotate in their selection. And you know what, guys? That's a very good point, because if the clubs are having to rotate, and we know from personal experience, we have to drop points against Osasuna just to try and rotate our team a bit. And we're the ones, by the way, who pay the big wages. We're the ones that keep these players going, not the national teams. Why are we the only ones that have to rotate and not at international level? Because I genuinely don't know why we don't see clubs do this a bit more. And I'm not saying here that you don't send players away on international duty, but I'm just saying maybe be a bit more selective, because I actually remember there Sir Alex Ferguson, when he was at Man United many years ago, when they were at their absolute peak, he used to tell a lot of his players there, when it came to international friendlies, a sort of meaningless international games, he used to tell a few of them, maybe you've got a bit of a knock, maybe you're not feeling quite right to go on international duty right now, and maybe you should stay back at the club and be ready for when we come back. And he just did it a few times, you know, to a few select players, but that happened. And I'm surprised we don't see it more right now, because I know that players want to play for their country, of course they do, but right now, like I say, with every Nations League game, every single qualifier, the endless qualifiers we have for tournaments, do you need to play every single one of those? Is it not possible that you pick up a little bit of a knock, a bit of a strain, a bit of a kick here and there, and just hang back a bit, you know, just once or twice a season? It could be really beneficial. But hey, that's just an opinion here. You can let me know your thoughts on that down below, because we've also had plenty of questions here about a man who will not be on international duty for Spain this time around, Dani Olmo. And have Barca actually done something a little bit similar to what I was just mentioning with him? Because apparently right now he is going to be ready to be back immediately after that international break. And even when Olmo got injured there, we were saying here on the channel, is it possible that he would have been able to return a little bit sooner? But instead, we sort of pushed back that recovery time and we gave him the entire break to recover. So you've got to do these kinds of things. You've got to try and get the edge in any way that you can. And honestly, guys, I cannot wait for Dani Olmo to come back, because I would just like to say, do you really believe that we've been able to replicate the kind of level that we were showing with Olmo since he's gotten injured against Girona? Because genuinely, guys, I know there's lots of different factors. Obviously, fatigue has become a real one of those. Some of the matches in general have been quite tricky, but I just don't think we have been the same team, in all honesty, since Dani Olmo got injured. And it's just proven even further how crucial he became at Barca in such a short space of time. And what he does, he glues everything together. He is the man, I feel, who just fits all of our attack into place. He's an organiser in that final third, and he just causes chaos. You know, the runs that he makes there, the way that he plays in that central area, he's such a goal threat as well. Teams can't handle him, and because they're also so focused on him, that opens up more space there for players like Raphinha, like Lamine Yamal. He's got a great combination with all of those really, really quickly at the club, and I cannot wait for him to come back. He became such a key part of this team. He won all of our hearts so quickly, and let's see him back in this team, because when he does come back, I guarantee you, we will go up another level. And well, we will need to, because of course, after this coming international break, guys, we will face Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. And I've had so many questions here, of course, about those games. And we're going to be talking lots more about them, of course, in the build-up as well. But just right here, what is the thoughts about the high line? Up against Bayern, up against Real Madrid, playing with that Hansi Flick high line, and with all of the quick, athletic players that they possess. Should we be scared? Should we be concerned there about that high line against those kinds of teams? Now, I would just like to say, first of all, it was nice to see that Barca weren't the only team to suffer defeat in the Champions League. Bayern and Madrid losing in match day 2. Bayern away at Aston Villa. What a job Unai Emery is doing, by the way, at Aston Villa. And Duran, he looks like a massive talent, doesn't he? So effective in front of goal with his finishing. And then Real Madrid away at Lille. They just weren't even in that game. You know, they only lost there by a goal to nil. It was after a penalty was given against them. I know, what? What? A penalty against Real Madrid? Are you serious? But I swear it happened. And they lost in the Champions League, which I guess is another surprise as well. But Real right now, they're not quite clicking in the way that maybe was expected of them once Mbappe was added to that forward line. But make no mistake, these games against Bayern and Real Madrid, they're going to be our biggest test. And this is where that Hansi Flick high line, it is going to be put under the most pressure. Because we're going to see it, by the way. There is absolutely no doubt here that Flick, he's going to stick to his system. He's not going to change for anyone. But what that means is we will approach the Bayern game and we will approach the Real Madrid game with confidence and with a fearless attitude. We will go into those games and play exactly as we would against any other team. We will take the game to them, we will play with that high line, we will put pressure on them, we will try and create chances. And what I would say, guys, is don't expect a clean sheet. I don't expect one against Bayern. I don't expect one against Real Madrid. We will concede chances. It will happen with that high line. They will breach it at different points in the game. But it's all about what we do. Because with the style of Hansi Flick, because of that kind of attitude, because of the attacking players that we have, we will try and hit them harder. And it will all come down, in my opinion, to how clinical we can be in front of goal. How many of the chances that we can take ourselves to put us out of sight against these teams and to protect that high line. Absolutely no doubt. It's all about the press. It is all about there. First of all, the front line. That is the first line of engagement there. They have to be on it. They have to be ready and close balls down very early. But then mainly, it's about the midfield. We are going to need such a hard-working midfield. We are going to need their players to close down balls, close down avenues there, so passes cannot be played through. Because you can only expose a high line, guys, if you're given time on the ball. You can only expose a high line there if you've been given an opportunity to play that pass through, to pick out a runner. So if you close down that at source, you go a long way to stopping that kind of threat. And that is why the midfield, that is going to be the focus, the priority for Hansi Flick. Getting that midfield ready for massive games, massive tests here for him and Barca. And of course, guys, one of those players who is going to be in charge of setting the tempo in that kind of game, being the one to demand that everyone goes with him in that press, it is Raphinha. Super thanks here, brilliant one coming in. A great 5-0 win that it was. I was watching this match at work, and Raphinha might be my favourite player at the moment. And I would just like to say on that, guys, Raphinha is an incredibly easy player to like. He's such an easy player, especially with the way that he's playing right now, to get behind, because of that work that he puts in, the baseline level that he brings to every single game, and the feeling that you get from Raphinha and the way that he talks after the game about the armband, about the fans chanting his name, he genuinely loves being here. Because honestly right now, in modern football, you hear about playing for the badge, playing for the club, really wanting to be here. It's all a bit of a cliche nowadays. But with Raphinha, you actually feel that. You actually feel as though every moment that he spends with this shirt, with this badge, with the armband, he feels a part of it. He wants to be here. He wants to perform and show his best quality for Barça. And he is delivering that now. And that is why I would like to end on this question right here. Has Raphinha already surpassed Ousmane Dembele in his Barça career? Yes. An overwhelming yes. So indeed, guys, those right there were some of your questions answered, and even during the international break, we are going to be going through a lot more of them and talking much, much more about these big games that we have to come. But coming up tomorrow, all of the build-up to Barça versus Alaves, guys. So thank you indeed here for watching, for getting involved with the questions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see all of you very, very soon. But until next time, as always, Visca, Real Barça.